We're live in Las Vegas with a special program talking to the biggest stars on the Strip and a lady that, you would make a good stripper, frankly.
Oh, my heavens to Betsy, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Rita Rudner is the star of the New York Hotel and Casino and her own show that's on 7 nights a week. Are you insane?
It is the best job in the world. I have to tell you, what other jobs do you get to work at 7 p.m. and leave at 9:30? And people say, how do you do it? I don't know how anyone else does anything else. I love it. It's my favorite thing.
That wasn't my question. Are you insane?
Yes.
I saw your show the other day, and I've got to be really honest with you.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't like honesty. I have a child. She's honest enough.
I will be honest, but I'll keep my clothes on. Don't worry.
Okay.
I don't like female comics generally. I've got to be honest.
I don't like you.
No, well, hang on a second. Let me finish. I don't like people like Roseanne, and we have a lady called Jo Brand in the UK who talks about ladies' things.
Right.
And as a man, I don't want to know that you have a thing, let alone ladies' things.
Yeah, I'm married to an Englishman. He doesn't know I have anything. I keep it to myself. He says, you have cramps? I don't want to know about it, so I don't tell him. I know what you mean.
Well, I suppose cramps are better than crabs. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yes, you do.
Listen, let's talk about your show, because as I say, I don't like it when women start being crude.
I don't like you. It's just an automatic reaction. Whenever you start that sentence, I say that.
Let me finish.
I can't. I'm unable to let you finish.
But what I loved about your
Say
show...
it again.
I don't like
you.
Is it because I'm ugly? What's the problem?
No, because you don't like me. That's why I don't like you.
Listen, I don't like
I
don't like you. Because they talk about women's stuff and they're crude and they swear, and I like my ladies to be like ladies. And can I say, you have wonderful arms and you're a wonderful lady.
Ooh, thank you so much. But you don't know me at home. That's only my stage persona. And you haven't seen my X-rated midnight show.
Oh, really? Who do I pay? Which producer do I sleep with to see that?
It doesn't exist. That's why you haven't seen it. There's a very good reason for that.
We have a thing in Britain called bingo wings. Do you know what bingo wings are?
No idea.
Bingo wings are these things that ladies over about 40 have under their arms. And they're these bits of fat that swing.
Yeah, so the little layers, yes.
Yes. Now, you don't have them. Congratulations.
I never thought about it. I'm going to look now. Really? So you were looking?
Well, of course I was looking. You had a dress that was barely a dress. I mean, it covered the top bit, but you'd got the rest of you kind of dangling.
Well, my husband says the top bit is the best bit of me, and I should camouflage the bottom bit. So good. I got you looking at the top bit. Excellent.
I looked all over, and I was very impressed by what I saw.
Which dress? I can't remember.
It was the big red frock.
The big red one. Look, does anything in there look familiar?
Yeah, well, the pink one then. Maybe my eyes are a little...
Oh, okay, the big pink one. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
The coutured one. That, it was very slinky.
That hides a lot, yeah.
And I just thought that was lovely because, I don't like big fat comedians because I don't think they're as funny as nice, beautiful ones.
I don't like you. No, but I don't, I do work hard. I'm an ex-dancer. So I try to stay in shape. I don't do as much as I should because I have a baby now. But I did go to Gymboree this morning and lift her up and, throw her around the place. So I try my best, and I have gowns that I have to continue to fit into. So that's really my incentive because I spend a lot of money over there. And if I can't fit into them, I've got to throw them away or I have to give them to you.
Well, I mean, I'd have a go, but I mean, with my large portions, I don't think I'd get inside them.
Let's not even try to... You want to get in one on the radio?
No, thank you. Let's talk about your show. Enough about me.
I know. I've tried on clothes on the radio before. It's not fun.
Now, this show, then, it's about everything, really. It's about your life, and it's about things that happen in your life. And I suppose people say to you, how do you think of your jokes? And you're going to tell me that you don't. It's just things that happen.
No, I'm going to tell you it's the hardest thing about being a comedian is thinking of new material. And I wake up in the morning and I try and I say, what is there a word? Is there a phrase? Is there something happens? And if I'm lucky, I get 1 or 2 new jokes a week. So, because I get so much repeat business that I like to keep it fresh. And also, I don't want to be saying the exact same thing for the rest of my life. I like to have new challenges and try and think of ways to think of new jokes. So it's the hardest part of my job is not the hour and a half on stage. It's trying to continually build and get better and to grow as a comedian. So I fooled you. Ha ha. It's not easy at all. And I work really hard every day trying to write new jokes.
I can congratulate you on one thing, and the fact that you looked so confident at what you did. You never seemed to miss a beat. You never stood there waiting for another laugh to think of another line, and that's so rare. I mean, I spend my life in theatres watching people who can't perform who think they can, and you got it down so well.
Where are you going that people can't perform?
Well, not everybody's as good as you guys on Vegas, or in the West End or on Broadway. There are people who try but aren't necessarily as good as you, and that presumably is the reason you're here and they're not.
I've been doing this a long time. I'm lucky that this is my 4th year. I'm going into my 5th year at New York, and I'm very comfortable out there. And it's an audience that's so friendly. I mean, the theater is built, with for a comedian, and all the seats are they're comfortable. They face the stage. It's like my living room. It's kind of like a living room. So it's a very comfortable atmosphere for me. I do a few corporate gigs a year, not too many because I don't travel. But in fact, I didn't do my show on Tuesday, and you'd think I had a night off, but no. I was performing at Lake Las Vegas for a financial investment group, and that was much trickier because there you have people who've been out in the sun playing golf all day, haven't bought tickets to see you. There's a big aisle where a person should be because it's not set up like a theater. So in New York, it's like the ideal circumstances for me to do my show, and I love doing it every night.
But I don't like female comedians.
I don't like you.
Now, but you actually made me feel like I liked you.
Well, oh my gosh, heavens, how did I do that? Well, I like you. Now I like you.
That's what I wanted you to say, and then I can edit out those bits where you're saying you don't like me.
I like you. You like me, I like you. Well, I like men. I married one. And I wouldn't have an act without men. But don't you think that I poke fun of women as much as I do of men? Because there are tons of things wrong with me, and I tell you, how stupid I am.
Correct.
Be quiet. How obsessed I am with Wade, and how much I like the free gift that I have to pay $50 for, and I tell you all kinds of things about how I didn't think I haven't done my bit about how I can't find directions on a map or anything. That's another bit, and how I decorate the house and my husband's not allowed to live in it. So there are plenty of things I say about women, and I would never ever say anything that my husband wouldn't like. So a long time ago, I had one joke that he said, I wish you wouldn't say that, and I never did again. And it kind of passes through a filter for me because my marriage is much more important than my act or getting a laugh. So I always think of I have a joke about the toupees in Vegas.
Why did you look at my hair then?
I didn't. I want to make sure you didn't have one. Because if I see a guy in the front row with a toupee, I don't do that joke because I don't want to make him upset. I'm not someone, I don't like to push the envelope. I like the envelope to stay where it is. I like everyone to feel comfortable.
Is it harder to be clean than to be dirty and stick the F word in everywhere that so many comics do now?
It's a different style. I wouldn't say it's easier. It's always hard to be funny. There are times that I think of jokes that I wish I could say and I really can't say because it's not my persona. So I wouldn't say it's easier. It's just different. It's different ways people approach comedy. I don't think it's any less valid. I think people who swear can be really, really funny. It just isn't right coming from me.
You've got the ability to see the funny side of life, and so few people can do that. That's why your act's funny, because most of the audience aren't thinking the way you are. You talk about how many shoes women buy, and the fact that you ask women, ask silly questions like, do I look fat in this? And of course, the fact is that if you're asking that question, it's likely that you probably do.
Well, I hate you. There you go. No. It's women. We need to be constantly reassured of who we are because the images that it's not so much in England. It's more in America. I have to say because everything is so artificial here. But I say, it's in my act. I asked my husband honey, do I still have it? And he says yes. In fact, you've got a little bit more of it. But I think women in America are made to feel particularly insecure, much more than European women. Don't you think?
I think so to a point, although we're getting like it. We're getting all this surgery coming across now.
It's us. I'm sorry about that. But
Botox, that's the new thing. Everybody's having Botox now, and Joan Rivers does the gag about the fact that, and you did it, you talked about it as well, the fact that you now have, women just don't have any reaction to anything because they can't move.
I like Botox because I have a joke about it. But I was afraid, because if I get it, what if I can't look, I have expressions like after I do each joke, And what if I have an expression and I can't do it and I feel wacky? I don't want to do it, so I don't do it. So no, I haven't had Botox.
Well, no, you also need to look disappointed every time I ask you a silly question.
And I'm very good at looking disappointed. But I just, there will come a time, I guess, when everything has to be pulled, but I'm putting it off.
Yeah, I mean, if I could afford it, I'd have it done. I've got to be honest with you. No, I would. Honestly,
why would you have it done?
Honestly, I would have about £40 sucked out my ass if I could afford it.
Oh,
honestly.
my heavens to Betsy.
I am serious. I'm so serious.
Well, I had a joke about that because they have this thing, the procedure now where they take the fat out of your body, or take your fat out of your thighs, and then they put it in other parts of your body to fill it up. So I have this fantasy that maybe they could take the fat out of my body and put it into Kate Moss. What do you think?
What a great idea.
I would pay extra.
Listen, let's talk about being in Las Vegas, because you open with the funniest gags about Vegas, and it is an absurd place and a ridiculous place. And I go back to my first question, really, about you doing this show 7 nights a week. Are you ever able to just switch off? I mean, how do you cope with doing it?
This is one of the most relaxing periods of my day, is when I do my act. I get up very early, early for a comedian, I'm up at 7:30. I either take my daughter to Gymboree or I take her to school. My husband and I are writing a musical, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's looking pretty good, but they had a fit last time because it's not ready yet. We also just sold a book a novel about Las Vegas, which so far it's called Turning the Tables, that I'm very excited about. So we work all day. I also have a dog and a father that I take care of, and groceries and cooking and shopping and things that I have to do. So I come here about 7 o'clock and I just veg out. I watch basketball on my TV, and it's from the moment I tell the first joke, it's a relaxing experience for me on stage. So it's not difficult. I love it.
And it looks so natural as well. I mean, is there any kind of plane of being there when you're doing, because you look so natural at it? It's almost as if you're kind of floating above the theatre, just looking for reaction and looking where to stick your gag, and it's just, you've just got it down to a T. I mean, are you actually there with us in the theatre? That's
why I learn people's names in the front, because I never want to space out, because there's a very bright spotlight that hits the performer when they come on stage, and I always make sure that I have the front 3 rows at least lit so I can see people's faces, and then I learn people's names when I talk to them, because it kind of makes it not only a more personal experience for the audience, but a more personal experience for me if I get to see an honest person's reaction to what I'm saying. So it's good, and I like it, and it's a relaxing experience, and I don't think, I'm happy that people think it's so difficult, but brain surgery or even hauling a sofa up a flight of stairs, to me that's really hard. Joe Pasquale, a comedian in the UK, said that difficult is when you're a brain surgeon and you're just going to put the knife in and you sneeze. That's difficult. Yes, that would be a bad thing. But I have had to stop myself from sneezing a few times on stage, and that's not easy. Especially in that dress, things could fall out. One good sneeze and I could look like who? Ethel Kennedy. No, I shouldn't say that. I like Ethel Kennedy, but that was the word that came out. Don't tell Ethel! Let's talk about Vegas and you being here, because you open with a load of gags about it. I don't want to nick your act, but could you just tell us a few of your thoughts about this crazy town? I don't tell jokes, really, unless I have the audience, because then my jokes. But Vegas is an experience that is unique, right? So it makes it a little bit of a community or a neighborhood in the theater. When you talk about the dancing waters in front of the Bellagio, and every time I see them, I see half the show, then I have to go to the bathroom, and all the women, they kind of identify with it, and it just makes you feel, don't you like to feel that everyone's in the same boat? Because you don't want to think you're the only one who's sinking. Everyone's sinking. It's difficult for everybody. And everyone's noticing all the pamphlets that are handed to people on the street. Like a guy who actually did hand me a pamphlet with 2 naked women on it and say, do you want to have some fun? And of course, I made up the punchline, but it sparked the thing where, okay, I'll do my act. Okay, here. Do you want to have some fun? And I looked at the 2 naked women and said, why did they want to go shopping? Looks like they need some clothes. So the things that happened to me all day in Vegas, I've taken out all the gambling jokes. I used to have a lot of gambling jokes in my act, but I don't really gamble, and I figured every other comedian in Vegas is going to do gambling jokes, so I won't do them. So I got rid of them. Unless someone asks me specifically if I gamble, then I can do it.
Do you know, I have the greatest respect for you. A, because I think what you do is the hardest thing in show business.
It's not, though, but thank you for thinking that.
Well, no, just because there's nobody to cover you. If you go dry or if something happens, you've got to deal with it. In other shows, you can cover. You've got a band, you've got lighting, you've got scenery. It's just you up there. Also, the time of day that you go on, I think, is so brave because comedy, you've got to have an audience that loves you. And I suppose there's one benefit that people are actually coming to see you opposed to going to a comedy club where they're going to see anybody.
This is a huge, huge difference between when you're in Vegas and people, they know who they're coming to see. They book ahead of time. They want to know where they're sitting. So it's very unusual. Maybe I've been here for 4 years, maybe 3 times I've had an audience that, I'm not even saying they were bad. They weren't just as good as other audiences. So, no, Vegas is when you want to see a performer, you see a performer. When you go to see whoever's on, you go in a whole different mindset.
I've always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but they always tell me to sit down.
Oh, no.
They do, and I just can't do it because I think you're just so brave to do what you do, and doing it 7 nights a week is actually crazy.
No. I have no other skills.
Well, that's coming clear, but
if I don't do this, I do nothing.
But the thing is, I don't like female comedians.
I hate you.
And I'm so grateful that you would spend this time to talk to someone that you hate with such passion.
I love you. Don't you say that again. But I just say that for comic effect.
Absolutely. And it's worked so well.
Well, I'm a comedian and I'm allowed to do anything like that.
If I don't win an award for this interview, I'd be most surprised.
Oh, I hope you win something. I want you to win something. Will you tell me if you win something?
I will. I'll be the first one on the phone to give you some money or something.
No, I don't want any money. I just want glory.
Absolutely, don't we all? And very finally, I presume the answer to this question is no, but you wouldn't want it... Right.
Okay, that's it.
Let's end the interview then. Thank you so much for talking to us today. No, honestly.
I feel incomplete.
No, honestly.
I feel incomplete. I need the question.
Most ladies do feel incomplete when they're with me.
Okay.
Don't worry.
No, ask me the question.
Well, I was just going to say, presumably you wouldn't want to go back on the road in that lonely comedian's life of travelling through motels and hotels and being on the road every day when you can have your own theatre and be here.
You are correct, sir.
Well, that's answered the question. You see, we didn't really need to do that, did we?
Yeah, no, you are correct. This is because not only this, I get to be a mom, which is a whole different experience in my life. And, airports ain't what they used to be. I used to, get there and run on a plane at 2 minutes ahead of time, and they'd hold it, and they'd go, "Oh, it's Rita." I knew all the people at Delta Airlines, and they'd say, "Come." Now, they have to X-ray my toes before I can get on. So it's not if I were traveling every day, it would be even more difficult than it was when, I was doing it.
When I came through New York, the man actually asked me to bend over. I don't know what he was doing.
I don't think that was part of the program.
I don't even think he went for security, frankly. But Rita Rudner, it's an absolute joy and a pleasure to talk to you because I have such respect for you. You're absolutely brilliant. Your act is just so new and fresh, and I see the same gags every time I go and see these comedians, and to do such an original act is remarkable. Thank you.
Well, hopefully when you come back, I'll have some new jokes for you.
But I don't like female comedians.
I like you anyway.